Welcome to the show. Hi, I'm Randy Jeffers, and we are live from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, I am so excited to share with you one of my good buddies, Bob Chrisman from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'll tell you, this guy is one of the most connected, well-respected guys that I know. I mean, he's just amazing. He knows everybody in Las Vegas, and he just delights in hooking people up together and so that the right people can come together to create incredible business opportunities. And Bob, you've done that so many times, just since I've known you, just over and over and over. And I know I'm very appreciative of all the people you've introduced me to, and everybody I know just really loves you. So I want to just start by having you just tell us a little bit about yourself, and maybe start with where you're born and how you came to Las Vegas.
I was born in Omaha, Nebraska, and I married a girl that was connected to Las Vegas. She wanted to come out and be with her sister and her brother-in-law and her nieces and nephews. So 47 years ago, I had a promotion to move to Chicago. Instead of moving to Chicago, I decided to come to Las Vegas because my allergies didn't bother me here. Plus, I came and got married at the Little Church of the West way back when. Now that's moved several. Now my son just got married at the Little Church of the West just last year. So it's sort of a family tradition, I guess.
So that's the one across from the Mandalay Bay.
Yes.
And that was here 47 years ago.
It moved 4 or 5 days. It was right in front of the Stardust back when I came out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then my brother-in-law was getting into the gaming business, and he needed some help, so forth. And I bought the house he built for my other brother-in-law who was getting a divorce, and which allowed him to get into the casino business.
My goodness.
Then they promised me all kinds of things in the casino business. I was in the industrial insulation business, but it looked exciting, and I got involved right away. And it was fun. I ended up 35 years at Caesar's Palace, seeing everybody and meeting everybody. It's amazing, all the people that I've met and so forth through that. Back then it was a very small community, and I grew up around here knowing everyone, and a lot of the kids that were little are now big, and they're in their 50s.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
So,
well, you've seen a lot of changes, I'm sure, obviously, and I want to hear a little bit about some of those things. But take us back to Nebraska. Now, you were born in Omaha, Nebraska, I understand.
Right.
And my dad was born there.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, he was born in 1929. And I think you were probably born quite a bit after that.
1942. There's a lot of difference in years.
Yeah, probably a lot of changes in Omaha in those times. But tell us a little bit about your growing up years, and I understand you had a little connection with one of the famous residents of Omaha.
Yeah, that's true. Well, a lot of the famous residents of Omaha. I was in this Exarban Ball for years. There was a racetrack that made a lot of money, and it was non-profit, so then they'd spend their money on all kinds of shows and everything else, and they had a coronation and a ball, and National Geographic said it was second only to the New Orleans group down there when they do their balls. And so I got to meet people from all over the United States that came from Nebraska. You know, Johnny Carson lived around the corner from me growing up.
Wow.
My dog used to sleep on his car, and he'd have to call me to get me to get the dog off. Anyway, it is an interesting situation, and I know most of the people from Omaha, and the who's who and so forth. And I did.
Of course, one of the richest guys in the world is from there.
Well, he sent Bill Gates out for me to teach him to play blackjack at one time.
Really?
And that was like 30 years ago when he had just a little garage that he was selling things out of. Wow. And that was an interesting
That's
thing.
Warren Buffett that we're talking about, of course.
Warren sent Bill Gates, or his office sent him to me to learn to play blackjack many years ago. Now, my one best friend lives next door to Warren Buffett, and at various times I've seen him, all growing up in that area. And
What memories? Oh, what?
Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking. You mentioned Johnny Carson, and you know, probably I don't know what the percentage would be. Pretty high of all the people that are alive right now. Don't even know about Johnny Carson.
Yeah,
And he was like
that's,
one of the most famous people
He was
ever.
the funniest guy on television. I'd pedal my bike home to watch the old time movies
Yeah.
when I lived in Blair, Nebraska, which was just like Henderson is to Las Vegas, Blair,
Uh-huh.
Nebraska is to Omaha. And then I was just back there. My mother passed away, but there are people living in the room next to my mother there that they lived on my street, and they said I was always running around with this guy with funny blonde hair. Well, that guy with the funny blonde hair was Jane Fonda. We didn't know that she was back in the 1950s. She wore men's jeans, and she had her hair cut short, and she was riding a man's bicycle. So we had no idea that this was a girl at first.
Uh-huh.
That was
Wow.
funny, but that's the interesting thing out of Omaha. And then I went to the University of Omaha, where Peter Fonda was Peter Jr., is it? Or, yeah, I think it is.
Henry Fonda's son,
Yeah.
Peter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He learned to do the presentation and everything for the money, cash flow, and everything for Easy Rider from a university professor at the University of Omaha.
Wow.
And he was the same guy that gave me some playthings to take to Princess Grace when she was, she was at the university there and helped people raise money for the Omaha Playhouse.
My goodness.
So in 1966, I was able to go have tea with her and her daughter, and their husband showed me all of his cars. Well, I couldn't understand why you want more than one car in the first place. That's a lot to just maintain, but he had all these cars and was so impressed. But I acted like I was interested, but it was,
As Prince Rainier, right?
yeah, Prince Rainier, right,
Of Monaco, yeah.
of Monaco, yeah. So I did some gem cutting and different things, and I made a few things for her. But when she was, back in Omaha, she was in the Omaha Playhouse and helped raise money for the Omaha Playhouse, which ended up a very nice thing. And so I took back pictures for the plays and things from an Omaha Playhouse there.
My goodness. Now, when you were growing up, you were a football player. You played some football.
Yeah, I played football at my high school there. I got honorable mention or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But I was rather small, 5'9", but I weighed 193 pounds, which was big 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So when I
Yeah.
hit people,
You knock 'em
they
down.
knew it, and I did go down to the university. I did sort of make the team there, but then I got a military scholarship at the other university. So that was $50 a month back then, was huge money.
Yeah.
So I went to University of Nebraska Omaha instead of University of Nebraska. But again, I had to chase Gale Sayers and I had to chase Marlon Briscoe, guys that were, Hall of Famers. But we didn't know they were that good. Everyone said, "Well, you're bad. You can't even do this or you can't do that." Well, the North-South Shrine game, which was half the state against half the state, the score was 0-0. So they said there's no talent this year. And out of those people there, 11 of them went on to become all pros.
Wow.
So we didn't know they were good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you also got into, I think you call it wrestling, right?
Well, yeah, that's what you do back there,
Yeah.
I called it Nebraska Farm Boy.
Uh-huh.
So when we went in the military, you never bragged about that. You just,
You just knew you could do it.
Keep your mouth shut and let someone else do whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So in your university days, you majored in what field?
Well, real estate and finance was my major, but I was in ROTC, which was aerospace sciences. So we're involved in all kinds of crazy things, from everything from play production to, different types of sciences and so on. And it was very interesting. And we were next to Offutt Air Base, so we were able to go out there and do a lot of things with with Offutt Air Base. Then I was an industrial insulation apprentice, and I went out there and I worked at underground at Offutt Air Base and insulating the computers and so forth. So, I just walked around there like I belonged, and that was it.
That was the days when a computer that could do less than what one laptop could do now filled up a whole big room probably.
They had small pipes about this size that you had to insulate to keep the computer
keep them cool,
cool, or it would burn down. And then right across from all this, they had the screens where the jets were up in the air all the time with the atomic bombs in case the Russians hit us. And so I got to see that being monitored. And there was the red phone there that the Russia could talk to the United States, and we could get around. But I remember one time, though, I had to pack up my bags and everything because we thought we were going to go to Cuba. That was scary when
Cuban
you had
Missile Crisis.
Yeah, that was a scary part of my life, and we're not even trained. We're going to go down there and be involved in nuclear war. That was very scary, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So you married this young lady, and she brought you out here to Las Vegas, Nevada.
Right, that's what she did.
And you and she had how many children?
We have 2.
And tell us about them.
Well, my son, he works for Young Electric. He does all these things on signs and high up in the air and all this. I couldn't get him to bring me something to the roof when I'm trying to fix my roof back when I practically built my house here.
Now he's a daredevil. Huh?
Yeah, now he's a daredevil. He just he goes out and repels through different areas and so forth. And my daughter, she became a doctor of psychology and just got her doctorate. And she met some unique people that I was able to do things with. One was a golfer that we helped get his hip back into place, and he went on to win a couple of world championships. Wow. And then she went to Oxford University also before she came back and graduated from USC. And she's writing a book now on helping people with their gambling problems. So that's
probably a good book for this town. Huh?
Yeah. And she's got several clients, and she takes care of now. And she's still, because of Oxford, she does real big work in real estate all over the world. She's liable to be one place or another, and I don't even have any clue where she's at.
Yeah.
So I enjoy my children, and they're a lot of fun. But you don't argue with a psychiatrist. You just learn.
You might not win.
Yeah, you just learn to do what she wants. You thinks is the right. And I only had one argument in our whole life, and she's 37 now, so that's pretty good.
Now, the oldest is your son, or your daughter?
The son's the oldest. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So tell me about these kids of yours. Now, obviously, they're very successful adults now, but it wasn't that long ago. I'm sure you can remember just as easy as anything. They were little babies. Remember when they were first born?
Oh, yeah. My daughter, she was having a hard time breathing, and I said, it's okay. And I touched her, and I used to, when she had hiccups, when my ex-wife was pregnant with her, I would pat her and say everything's all right, and her hiccups would go away. So when she was born and she had a little hard time breathing there, I just patted her and said everything's all right, Daddy's here. And she just took a big breath and just looked at me, and that just melded me for the rest of my life right there. That was quite a nice situation. Amazing. So anyway, then I got her, my ex-wife didn't like the idea. I brought her golf clubs when she was 5, and I wanted her to knock off the dandelions in the yard. And I didn't know. Then she becomes addicted to golf, and my ex-wife becomes addicted to golf. So they run all over the world going to these golf things and so forth. So that's...
Wow, what a life. Now, I understand you also have more family here. You have a brother that's
yes.
one of the leading lawyers here in town.
Yeah, yeah. My brother is here. I've got him to come out. He's like 15 years younger than me, so he's like having a child, you know, when I got him. And he's come out here. He's been out here like 20-some years. He's done some very big cases, and he's rated in Martindale Hubbard for these cases. And I have a nephew out here and another niece out here, and my sister's out here, and a lot of the family come out here, and then some went back to Omaha again, and because that's where they feel their home base is. But to me, this is home base.
This is home now, right?
Yeah, this isn't as cold as Omaha or as wet or humid. Then that's my hair doesn't curl out there. I mean, it's frizzy in Omaha.
Well, it's a little cold in Omaha right now, probably, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I understand you were just back there. You lost your mother just a week or so ago.
Yeah.
Recently, and she was in her. She lived a long life, 90-some years old.
And she wrote a couple of children's books.
Oh wow!
And then she'd illustrate the children's books too. Mm-hmm. And even at 90, she was still drawing nice little animals and pictures and different things like that.
Well, Bob, I want to hear about Las Vegas in the early days, because this town has changed dramatically. I've read a number of books about you know, the history of Las Vegas and what's happened and transpired. And you actually witnessed a lot of it from the inside, right?
Right in the middle of the whole thing. Each one of these movies you see and everything, I was like there alongside her. It was all happening, and I didn't know who they were or what they were. And you know, as a hobby, I used to recut gemstones and things like that.
Right.
So I was involved directly in the jewelry business here for years, and I helped mine turquoise and cut turquoise stones and opals and everything from the Nevada operations here.
Wow.
So I have a little bit of a background in that. And then because I was in the high-tech insulation business back in Omaha, I went to the University of Chicago. I got certified for certain types of management things in nuclear waste. Then I got involved in Yucca Mountain here, and that's quite an interesting story there.
So you've actually been inside Yucca Mountain?
I've been all the outsides and everything else, and all the digging things. I didn't actually. I went to the front entrance there, but they had one earthquake at the time. I was scheduled to go in. I said, I don't really want to go in there. I mean, you're sitting on fault lines. Why in the heck are we putting something on fault lines? And yes, I did go down into. They have a library out there. People, they write all kinds of things about it, and then it seems like the government gets them to rewrite it again so it doesn't look as bad. And
really?
It was quite. I mean, I was all for it until I started investigating and seeing all these things and the happenings. And but I met people from all over the world. I mean, I was up there with Russian scientists and up on the hill there sleeping at night, and you know, it was quite an interesting thing to hear their point of view. These guys their KGB is mostly scientists. Our counter to that is, you know, guys that are in the liberal arts instead of high tech. And it was interesting meeting. I met people from all over the world, from the people from England, from Sweden, from Lithuania, Latvia, Russia, and so forth. But they all had their mind in the right position that if you do this wrong, you can wreck the rest of the world.
Right.
And so most of our scientists here don't seem to, you know, be on the same status all the time, wavelengths all the time. So I had that's quite a
wow. What a thrill actually to have seen a lot of those things.
Oh yeah, and then study it and then find certain things, find little evidence. Because I was in the gemstone business when we found gemstones up at Yucca Mountain. That means it comes from upwelling
down below.
Down below, and we're building an umbrella over the mountain Well, that's not where we got to worry about. If the water comes or gases come from upwelling, now we have a real big problem.
Because they're trapped.
Right. They're
Right.
trapped, and then it's like a coffee, pot.
Percolator.
You put it on there, and a while it'll blow. So you don't need to do that. But we got an umbrella over the coffee pot. That's a great idea. It's like Old Faithful. We got an umbrella over there, but it's coming up underneath you. That's what I worry about. And it's not because of water. We have to breathe air, and we forget about you can drink water if you want, but the
Yeah.
air. How do you know when do we breathe and when we don't breathe?
Well, I better stop you right there because we don't want to give away any secrets of the government, or they'll
Oh,
send the
no.
FBI after us, and we'll get in trouble.
Yeah, that could be. Who knows? Well, at least in the United States, we can talk and we
That's
can
right.
discuss things. And
Well, Bob, I want to ask you something before we talk about Las Vegas and the history of Las Vegas. But why is it that everybody loves you so much? Everybody I know,
I don't
and,
know.
and
I
when you
mean-
hook people together, everybody just raves about Bob Chrisman, and you must have helped a lot of people over the years.
well, I did study reflexology, so I like to help people feel better about themselves. That's when I saw some of your products, and I was impressed with the quality and the care and everything of your products. And I feel like it's nice to be able to heal someone, and if we can heal people, that's all well and good.
Yeah, and you have you have a machine that's a special machine that you use on people as well, right? Tell us
Well,
about that.
I work with a company. This guy has reinvented several types of. A lot of people call them TENS units or whatever, and yes, they are all TENS units. Just like water is all water, but there's water that your car will float in. There's water you can stick your arm in and takes all the hair off. There's a whole bunch of different types of these machines. This is a Tesla Max, and Tesla is the one that come up with the alternating currents, and this is a high-tech of the Tesla machines.
Yeah.
And what it does, it seems to clean out different things in the body at a higher rate than your other normal TENS units, and it's using alternate currents that are direct. And a lot of people, if it feels the same, it's the same. Well, that's not true. Sometimes it's much different when you're using the right methodology.
Yeah.
So we've been helpful in people with neuropathy and other things with using this type of machine. It's sold mostly to doctors, and they in turn lease them out. And this is like the third generation of electrotherapy machines that I've been involved with.
No, it's fabulous. It's fabulous. Well, let's talk about Las Vegas a little bit. Now, you were how old a guy were you when you first came out to Las
Yeah, it's
Vegas?
27, I believe it was.
And what was it like the first time you came? And you must have landed at the same airport, right? McCarran, was it still was it
Yeah,
here?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, we first came out to get married out here at the Little Church of the West.
Yep.
And that was, quite interesting. We lived out on El Camino Road, or later we lived on El Camino Road because my brother-in-law was out there. But that was the edge of the city, and you saw all the hotels and everything. There's like nothing in between you. Now you go out there and you can't see the whole strip.
It's just solid.
Yeah, it's but I helped build the house that I ended up buying later. I was helping my one brother-in-law build the house for my other brother-in-law. So, but up and down the street there were road runners. You'd see coyotes out there. You'd see foxes. It was
Wow.
a lot of people. They had chickens and cows and what have you right on our street.
What was the population back then?
I think it was in its 60 to 70,000.
And now it's a couple million.
Couple of million, right?
Yeah, so it's had tremendous growth.
Yes, it did, and we experienced that and then all the people coming in, and back in those days I used to hang out at the old sporting house, and everyone ended up there. I mean, no matter what happened, there was always someone there. And then I dealt in the high rollers room at Caesar's Palace, and no matter what happened in the country, that person ends up at Caesar's Palace for a while there.
Sure.
And
So what got you into into the casino business?
well, my brother-in-law had a school, Las Vegas School of Dealing.
Oh,
He and Michael Gaughan had the Las Vegas School of Dealing, and I worked in their first place was on Convention Center Drive, and then they went on to 5 other places, you know. So
so you went to school and learned how to do it?
I learned how to do it.
You went to the famous Caesars.
Then I went to the famous Caesars, and
Yeah.
it was quite interesting because you met everybody there. I mean, Sinatra hung around there, and my one friend used to do a lot of things for him, and Chili Rizzo was there with Sinatra all the time, and sometimes I'd reserve my table and I'd deal to Frank's wife, and everyone just come around like it was nothing. But back in the old days, you go down to San Diego and come back, and you could stop at Sinatra's place and have sandwiches, even if he wasn't there. It was really interesting. But everyone was like that in the old days. I mean, it was a very close-knit little group of people there at Caesars, and people from all over come by and talked, and the McGuire sisters used to sing at the table there with Khashoggi and Phyllis's boyfriend, and I mean, you had all kinds of events happening that we thought that was just the everyday
Which is
thing,
normal, yeah.
which would be an event to write about today, probably.
I mean, where else but Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about some of the other celebrities. It's hard to beat Frank Sinatra. He's probably one of the greatest of all
Well,
time.
yeah.
but who are some of the famous people that you met?
Well, the one gal that just passed away, I forgot her name. Her and her
Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie. I lived over there with them over at the Regency Towers later.
Oh,
I know Debbie and her daughter and everything there.
Uh-huh.
And then even the Jacksons lived on that same. I was in the Regency Towers there. They lived on the next
Michael
floor
Jackson's
up.
family.
Well,
Yeah.
this is just his sisters. The
Oh,
ones
uh-huh.
I don't know which one had the place, but we'd see him every now and then in the elevator there. But we just ran into all kinds of people all the time, and we just thought that was just that's just normal. That's what happened. I always loved Marty Allen. I still see him every now and then. He is still funny to me, hilarious. And I used to work out there at the Sporting House. Marty Allen, Siegfried. Siegfried was always wonderful to people and their children and things like that. Was a very nice person. And I met his sister once, and she, takes care of damaged children over in Europe, and it was very interesting to see the other things of these people's lives and what they're doing.
So when you came to town, now we have the downtown. They call it the Fremont area, Fremont Street, which is a big tourist attraction. A lot of hotels, older hotels, casinos down there, and then you have the Strip, which has all these mega resorts that are, just unbelievable. You have to. I mean, it's if you have never been to Las Vegas and you have never seen these hotels. You can't describe them. It's
I was at different places at different times.
Mhm.
Like you were supposed to go down and work downtown for a year, so you learned all the dirt of the business or whatever.
Mm.
I went down
the
there
basics.
to the Fremont, and we went over. The people I was involved with helped Steve Wynn take over his place, because even though he owned the place, someone else was thinking they were owning it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it helped Jackie Gaughan and that group get in there to help.
Now, when you say somebody else was thinking they were owning it, are these?
Well, you had 2 different pits going, and the things, the old days, the money grabbing and all of that, it was amazing. I mean,
I don't think it's any secret that the mafia used to be here in Las Vegas, and they ran things, right?
well, they were all, and everyone that I met from them, they were nice to their employees. They were gentlemen. A handshake meant something. I mean, I didn't understand that. I didn't know whoever this person was or that person was. And sometimes some people would come up to me and say, well, you know, I'm with so-and-so and this is my, and what about this person? And I mean, all these things were happening on a
Yeah.
continual basis. It was amazing, you know. The one time they had Mo Dalitz, they had a birthday party for him, and it was like on The Godfather. There's the FBI out there looking at all the numbers of the cars and everything else, and it was just a normal affair, you know. So anyway,
Wow, you've seen a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, and what's the biggest change that impresses you the most about Las Vegas?
the biggest change, I don't know if that is. This impresses me because then the management comes in that think they know what they can do or what. These guys don't even know how to shuffle a deck. I mean, you know, when you come in with like the Gons, the whole family knows the business. They don't even think they know the business, and they know everything about it. And then other people come in and think they know something about something, and they don't know how to handle people. They don't know how to do things the right way to make people feel good about themselves. So gambling can be therapy if it's done the right way, but the mob didn't want to burn out the people like the big business seems to want to burn them out and, you know, devastate them, take all their money. I just seen a different philosophy or something. But now as the bigger things are getting here and the better, I mean, we're still one of the nicest places to come to have big shows and everything else and show your products and so forth. And people like coming here and doing well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the place for conventions. I mean, every day there's a convention, or there's lots of conventions pretty much every day of all shapes and sizes, and the best restaurants, some of the world's best restaurants are here.
Right.
All right, some of the best entertainment. You know, I think anybody who's in the entertainment world is here at one time or another.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
And when you live here, you sort of get spoiled because you can go see anything you want at any
Right,
time, you know,
right.
24 hours a day pretty much. So and you sort of take it for granted, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't know that was that good a thing to do. I mean, I knew Elvis back when and everything, and you know, it just seemed like it was something was around, you know. And here's Engelbert walks by, and so walks by, and another one, and you know, it's just. You know, you just learn to be around, and it wasn't such a big deal. These were real people, and some of them were real nice people.
Yeah,
You know, so
absolutely. Well, Bob, out of your whole life, if you could pick one thing, what would be the single most important thing that has ever happened to you in your life?
holding my daughter in my hands when she was born. That's the biggest.
What did it feel like?
Oh, incredible! What a feeling! It's like a piece of your heart that goes out there, and then to have her look at me and start breathing regularly and everything else. That was the most incredible thing. So that's what I look back on. And this was a nice area that she came out here and is Las Vegas born. That
So
was-
she was born in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And she grew up in Las Vegas is home for her. That's what she knows.
well, she was here, and then she was in Reno, and then she was in Colorado, and then she was back here again, and you know, she graduated from Gorman, and then she went to university in Flagstaff. Then she went to Oxford, and then she came back and finished here, and then went on to USC.
Yeah. It's always interesting to think, you know, if you just change 1 second, really, of your life, you change everything, right?
Mhm.
Everything else changes that comes after that. And just think this little baby of yours that is your most precious memory, if you hadn't come to Las Vegas and you stayed in Nebraska, how life would be so different.
Well, it could have been good there too. Also, I don't know.
Yeah, just in a different way.
Yeah, my allergies weren't so bad. Then they started bringing in all these things again, and my allergies got bad again. So that's what's happened.
Now, Bob, I understand you're an inventor as well.
Yes.
You've done some inventing, and tell us about some of those things.
Well, we did like a deburring machine. My grandfather was the head engineer at the Hastings Ammunition Depot, which was the largest ammunition depot in the world. And I got to see a lot of things when I was growing up. And he was my playmate, so but what he did a whole bunch of things that made the war in the Pacific much better for the United States. Or he put tracers on bullets so you could see where you're shooting and things like that. And then he did something to extend the range of our warships in both the Pacific and the Atlantic, so we could shoot further than people thought we could shoot.
Wow.
At a more accurate rate.
This was your grandfather?
Yes, my grandfather.
Wow.
Then he and I worked on different things together, and I'd come up with ideas, and then he'd show me how to make it. And I grew up with a tool and die shop in our basement. But he would always make everything that I started, he'd always want to finish it perfectly. I don't care if it's a 3/1000th of an inch or not. I just want it to work. I want that knife to cut, or this thing to cut, or that thing to work. So we've got involved in different things like, rotary engines, nuclear. I was involved in the nuclear waste thing and the sealing of different things for powerhouses. And I helped develop a little gasketing on the Trans-Alaskan pipeline that stopped the permafrost from moving into the line, and
wow.
I did a lot of things like that. But I was young, I didn't know how to protect myself, and then I learned about bankruptcy later, so they can bankrupt and then they can put the stock from the left pocket into the right pocket and your commission is gone. But at least I developed several things, and I proved they can work. I'm still developing several things right now and working on them.
No, I'm sure you probably don't want to talk too much about some of them because they're secrets, and
Yeah.
you want to kind of keep them to yourself. But
Well,
is there anything you can tell us about?
Well, I would just love to build something that, that doesn't pollute the atmosphere, and I'm big on that, and I worry about us breathing good air and that type of thing. And that's what I'm into. I mean, I think I can generate electricity at a higher efficiency rate, so that makes it good for everybody. And if we want to worry about, people all over the world with oil and everything, we could use a whole bunch of other energies, and I've developed some things that can use them at a higher efficiency rate.
Wow.
So I'm
Now-
working on that.
Now, Bob, I understand your last name is Chrisman,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a university back in the Midwest, is Chrisman University, right?
Well, there was.
There was.
It's just a high school in Kansas City is William A. Chrisman, which was my great-grandfather.
So it's a high school. Okay.
Yeah, and there was a Chrisman University, and then they donated a whole bunch of things to the University of Missouri. I thought I was getting a football scholarship there, and I turned it down, and I wanted to play at Nebraska. Well, I didn't know that it wasn't a football scholarship. It was a scholarship left there for all Chrisman boys.
Oh,
Had no
my.
idea. I mean, he was Secretary of Education for the state of Missouri.
Wow.
So here I poo-pooed that, and that was probably a dumb thing to do. But again, it's very expensive to, even if you got a scholarship, to go someplace else other than live where you're at.
Right.
And during those times, it was difficult because of the Vietnam War and everything else. So that's why I got caught up in the university I was at.
So you served in the war?
No, I ended up having an allergy attack before I got my commission, and they made me one Y, and they said they were going to give me a 3% disability. Well, I was making $50 a month. 3% disability, that's $1.50. I don't need that, for crank's sakes. But they made me march in an area that had all these types of pollens and stuff indoors and all kinds of other residue, which probably brought on this.
So you had to get out of there, and
Yeah.
so this desert climate's perfect for you.
Well, it was. I mean, they brought more stuff out here, and it's, I'm still doing fairly well. I don't have itchy eyes, but I get a little cough every now and then. This desert stuff that we have, the pollution in the ground. That's why I'm involved in with some other people that we're trying to do stem cell research and things of that nature. And it looks like it's a rewarding field, and I'm involved, and I want to help out. So that's what's going on.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you look back and when you and I were boys, and just the amount of changes and how fast things are,
Wow.
the compounding effect of all this knowledge that everyone has now, and how things change so more rapidly every year.
Mhm.
It's just phenomenal, and what a great time to be alive, huh?
Yes, it is, and we can build things with computers now, and people can't steal them from you because you're in control of the whole thing, and then you can turn around and patent it and test it and everything just off of that same computer. Before, you needed a whole bunch of people helping you, and it cost a lot of money to make a product, and now we can do it off a computer. That's just incredible. I just really feel this is a good time to be into this type of thing.
Absolutely. So, Bob, you're, if you don't mind to ask, how old are you now?
74.
So you're 74, you're just getting started, and you have some big plans, some big dreams, some big goals.
Still do, yeah.
And so, what do you want to do? What do you see in 10 years from now?
Well, how do I know if I'm even going to be here in 10 years?
You'll be here.
I want to see cleaner energy. I want to see people with more hopes of being able to do things for their physical well-being and the physical well-being of others in their families. And so that's why I'm excited about doing the things with you, with the foods and so forth, to help relieve the problems of heavy metals and things like that. So I think we're on to something pretty good, and we all have to just keep thinking and focusing and refocusing and seeing what can be done. So if any of these things come through, I'd like the success. The money is nice too, but the success might be even more
Absolutely.
pleasing.
Well, I know there's some projects that are in development right now that are really special to you, and I know there's about to be launched a brand that's going to have this mug of Bob Christmas right on the labels, and I want to make sure we have you back when those are launched, so that we can hold them up and show everybody so they can see those, and then we'll let them know how to order those things. But and they're in the health industry,
Right.
Ways of making people healthier, and it's going to be exciting, huh?
Yes, I think so. I don't know. We're going to try, that's for sure.
Well, what's exciting, is you it's like building blocks, right? And you have this incredible amount of knowledge, all these things that you've done over the years, and then one thing just sort of builds on another. And if you didn't have those other things that you learned before, you couldn't do these steps, right?
Well, just like today, we're talking about something, and someone says, well, this is what we're going to develop, and blah, 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 and everything else. And then as soon as the guy left, I says, well, I already have it developed. It's in my car. And I brought it out and handed it to you. Well, so we show we can do it, but some of these things that are developed, we just need to revise. And where your genius is in marketing, and you see these things and how you can put it out there. That's important about teaching people how to do these things and letting them know what's right in front of them. and so I'm happy being around you and how clean your business is, and you upgrade things that people don't even know that you've upgraded, and you've got one heck of a good product. So
Well,
I'm
thank you.
enthused about getting involved with some of your products, using some of my knowledge or some of my other friends' knowledges and so forth. But on the
Yeah.
Yucca Mountain thing, I met these people from all over the world, scientists and everything else, that have something to add in other areas.
Yeah.
So I really, so you come into with Albert Einstein, and you didn't even know he existed, and you have him, but now it's your beck and call if you need it.
That's right.
So this is what's exciting about what we're all doing and what we're proceeding on, and what we have planned. I think we've got something starting. So within the next couple of years, I think we're going to have some things that make us feel good about what we're doing.
Absolutely. Well, Bob, I know you're a special guy, and I know you come by to visit us quite often. And when you come into our manufacturing facility, everybody it's like something changes. It's just always good to see you when you come in, and I really appreciate you being here. And we have a lot of friends in common,
Mhm.
and I know everyone that I know that knows you feels the same way. They just have the utmost respect for you, and just to know you, I think, is a real special thing.
Well, that makes me feel awfully good. I don't know if I can live up to that, but I'll try.
But where you really know it is when you're like for me, when I'm having coffee with somebody that knows you,
Mm.
and you're not there,
Mm.
and your name comes up, and you hear people talking about you, and especially in a special way, and then you really know you're a special person.
Well, I've never been there, so I don't know.
Well, I've been there,
That's right.
and I can tell you it's really true. So Bob, thanks for being with us, and we'll look forward to having you back sometime soon. As soon as your brand is launched and
All right.
we get your products, we don't want to mention them right now, but it's going to be very soon. And I know you'll have a website and toll-free numbers where people can reach out and grab those quickly. But Bob, thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right.
And we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye, everybody.